Hey guys, update on 3D printing stuff. We were going great guns there for a while, but now I got a little problem. So I started out doing all the usual things that, you know, printing the little projects that are on the card, that come on the SD card. I didn't intend doing that, but then I found out that one of the major difficulties that just about everybody has with these things is how you get the first layer to stick properly to the bed and get it to stay stuck once you start printing. And so to eliminate the variables, I thought rather than be using my own projects, I'd use ones that are known good. And so that all went okay. Then I started doing some of my own stuff, and this one, in this particular case, it failed the first time, but because it lifted off the bed, but then it worked fine the second time. Then I got onto some fairly chunky projects. So these are a couple of dust covers that will go on the X-Carve to keep all the dust out of the little roller wheels on the rails, and they all printed really well. I mean, they took like about 6 hours each to print. This one did sort of lift because most of the time is printing over here, and so all the heat is over here, and so this whole part here gets to cool down, and it's the only heat is from the bed. And it did start to lift a little bit over here, but it doesn't in any way affect the functionality of it. It'll work just fine. The idea is you get a couple of, I've ordered up some magnets to go in here, you glue them in, and then they pop onto the side frame. The one curious thing is that whoever put these up on Thingiverse, they put an R on one for the right, and I presume the other one is blank because you assume it's the left, but this one goes on the left hand side. But anyway, this one stayed stuck, so this one was I would say a full success. And in fact, it was quite difficult to get it off the bed once the print job was finished. So very happy with all those. And so we were on a roll with this thing, and I had another project I wanted to get started on this morning, and the printer died. And it looks like, near as I can tell, what happens is when you set it off to do a print, the first thing it does is goes through this routine where it levels the bed, and it fails that routine. And it says that the sensor is either disconnected or there's a wire broken. I think in my case the sensor is just gone faulty. Let's see if I can show you which one it is. So there we go. On the extruder you have this inductive sensor which senses when it gets close to the bed. And I believe this guy is no longer working, and essentially what happens is wherever the z-axis is when you power it up, it just assumes that that's the lowest point. It can't go any lower than that, so you can move the z-axis up, but you can't move it any lower than where it is at the time you power it up. And of course it fails the bed leveling test, and so you don't get anywhere. I don't really have any info on that sensor. And so I've done, there's 3 connectors come out of it. Obviously you have a ground and a power, and then you have an output when it detects some piece of metal, because it's just an inductive sensor. So I don't know how I can test it. And so I've ordered up a replacement, and it is going to be a total pain in the ass to replace it. And so since I have also ordered up the sort of halfway upgrade, what they're calling the 2.5 upgrade, I think I may leave it until that arrives, because there's a lot of changes to the whole extruder assembly here, as if I recall correctly. It's so long ago since when I ordered this stuff that I just forget what it contains. Anyway. So there we go. So no more 3D printing for a little while. I mean, if the sensor comes quickly and it turns out that is the problem, because obviously the other problem it could be is something died on the controller board. That'd be a real pain because that's like over $100 to replace that. Anyway, there we go. That's an update on my 3D printing. What I will say is, what I've learned is, the big problem everybody has, as I said, is getting the first layer to stick and getting it to stay stuck. And so there are as many solutions to this problem as there are users of the printers, I'm pretty sure. And so in my particular case, what I found is, it comes with a sticky glue that you can put on that helps. People talk about using blue painter's tape. People talk about putting a sheet of glass on the top. All sorts of things. In my case, my experience is what is absolutely totally critical is basically when you calibrate the distance from the nozzle to the bed. And I mean, that is micron critical. A couple of microns either way will make all the difference between a successful adhesion to the bed or a unsuccessful adhesion to the bed. That's the, if you like, in my case, that turned out to be it. And so all I have to do, I don't have to put anything on this bed. As you can see, everything here sticks perfectly well. It prints fine. I just have to make sure that I clean the bed with alcohol. Don't touch it with fingerprints in any way, shape, or form. And then, having got the calibration of the height of the nozzle correct, it's been good as gold ever since. That's the other reason this thing is frustrating, because when I change that bloody sensor, I'll have to go through all that calibration again to get that, to where it needs to be. Anyway, guys, there you go. I'll post a little bit more when the spare parts arrive, and hopefully we get back in action with 3D printing.